quick follow-up to you, Ari. How do you see this playing out on either side as we approach the midterms?
Well, yeah, I think that's one of the reasons that the public is largely exhausted with this. And to the degree I saw a phrase this morning that the Democrats are perceived as mask fundamentalists, it just reminds people that one party went too far, had bad solutions, and refused to do sensible things. And the press plays a role here, too, I've got to say. They pounded Republican governors when they opened their economies, when they stopped making with the mandates. And yet, when the Democrats do it, the press just gives them straightforward news coverage.
It's true.
That hypocrisy is every Republican knows it, sees it, and the governor of Texas, Florida, Georgia, they lived under it. This is part of why the Democrats are in trouble.
Right, and Kennedy, but is the CDC, however, refusing to budge, refusing to account for the country's shift for what Ari is pointing out in the realm of K through 12 students and the mask wearing guidance in schools?
The federal government has botched this every step of the way, and the fact that we're in our third year and they're still mishandling everything and putting blinders on in terms of science, it's very hard to follow anyone when you have a bandana over your face. Very, very difficult. Can't see. Rochelle Walensky needs to resign. Anthony Fauci needs to resign, or he needs to be fired. Kids are being held hostage with these masks. It doesn't make sense that you're going to open up entire states and go mask-free, but you can't in schools where we have seen the science has demonstrated not only are kids poor vectors for the virus, they're not catching it the way adults are. They're not being hospitalized at nearly the same rates, and even less so now. But also, Johns Hopkins had an exhaustive study, which we've talked about over and over again recently, that the mandates, the lockdowns, the masking, it has not worked. It has not done what it was intended to do, which is reduce mortality. Therefore, you have to lift all of the mask mandates. And if you have people in schools, whether they're teachers or administrators, custodians, faculty, or students, if they're at risk, they can wear an N95 mask and do a better job of protecting themselves. That's where we're at in the pandemic. If you feel you're at risk of getting sick, then mask yourself and do whatever you can to make yourself safe.
And Harris, one of everyone's favorite Democrat hypocrites, however, is still holding her ground, right? She's apologizing for being caught maskless, but still doubling down and saying, no, but kids should still wear a mask. We have a thought of that. We'll play. Get your thoughts on the other side.
I went to read to kids for an African-American read-in day. I followed the protocols. I told the kids I'm taking my mask off because I'm reading to kids who are listening remotely as well. And we were socially distanced. The kids were socially distanced from me. And the excitement after I finished, because it was so much fun working with those kids, I took a picture, and that was a mistake. Protocols matter, and protecting our kids is the most important thing, and anything that can be perceived as undermining that is a mistake, and I apologize.
Which one was a mistake? Because now we know that there were several pictures. You could see the montage there. This is really unfortunate, because she is one in the political landscape for Democrats that they were hoping had the kind of political acumen that would lead her to make better decisions than this. And distancing herself while reading to kids, that's one thing. But she's grouped in lots of photos where she's with other folk who are masked up. So either masks work or they don't. And in that environment where in some states now the little ones are the only ones who are continuing to be masked up, why wouldn't she want to also protect them and follow the rules? It is really mind-boggling, and it's more than one mistake. It happened several times. So, you know, I want to hit something that Ari said, though, because I think that there is a bigger issue that we need to pay attention to here. Dr. Walensky today did, in fact, say that local municipalities at the local level, governors, whomever, can make the decisions based on the vaccination rates in their states and the numbers of cases of COVID in their states, whether or not people should have those mandates, whatever they are, in place. And she said, well, we continue to do that, which means it's always been. So why did President Biden go after governors that looked at their states? I remember a point when Florida had the lowest number of cases. I think it was last summer. You lived there, yeah. Right? So why was Biden going after those governors on mandates and things and wanting several states to, you know, put mandates in schools? And then now he's starting to kind of say, well, we were following CDC guidelines. Well, if the states can follow their own guidelines based on vax rates and the numbers of cases, why can't the White House Like, the states didn't wait for the CDC. They listened to the parents. That's what I'm going to guess happened. They're listening to the constituents here. And they're also looking at the fact that the numbers have come down. They're undeniably lower in New Jersey. This time they didn't hang the flatten the curve sign at our taxpayer expense in my little town. But we know that the numbers are down. So I'm just curious, does Biden get a pass for that, for going after these governors?
I mean, the courts certainly knew it the whole time, and that was the argument in so many of these states that said this is constitutionally a matter of local and state authority because it's not assigned specifically to the federal government, right? That's why case law supported all of the things that the local Republican elected officials were putting forth. But now it seems that memory is short. And the issue really to this point is science. And wait, I want to interrupt myself for a second, though, to say that if that was the case as well, why did states like Virginia pass a law that said, well, we will follow the CDC guidelines, whatever the CDC does for our schools, right? Like somewhere in that entire translation, the federal government browbeat a lot of these states into thinking that they absolutely had no power, but the ones that resisted, the ones that knew, are the ones that succeeded.
Well, but they were trusting the scientists, too. They were trusting the scientists at the CDC not to be political, not to constantly show us the sausage making, which maybe only benefited politics.
Right.
Like, I'm fine with it being fluid and all of that, right?
Yeah.
But if the only thing that fluidity gets you is a change in messaging,
right,
to some political end, I'm not in favor of that.
So I heard you make that point last hour, and it occurred to me as I'm in my office. I madly emailed the producers, oh my gosh, we got to find the soundbite. Harris just made an excellent point about the way Governor DeSantis was treated, among others. Let's roll the tape. This is how Biden used to talk about these governors.
Yeah.
These masks make a difference. The last thing we need is the Neanderthal thinking that in the meantime everything's fine, take off your mask, forget it. It still matters.
Neanderthal thinking.
There you go.
Is Governor Phil Murphy of New Jersey, who happens to have a D behind his name, for Democrat? Is he a Neanderthal? Is Oregon their Neanderthals over there? This is so blatantly political from our president, not following the science. Guess what? Ireland, UK, Denmark, they never masked their children. We did here in the United States, contrary to science. Marty McCary wrote in the Wall Street Journal about a North Carolina study where they looked at 90,000 cases in students, and they found not a single case of student transmission to teachers. So why are we masking our children? Two words, the teachers union. That is the only reason President Biden won't stand at that podium and say, unmask our children. It's so political, and there will be consequences in November. To your first point that you asked Ari about.
And despite that science, despite that actual science, remember the teachers' walkout, where the teachers struck in Chicago. The kids weren't remote learning then. They were just not learning. But apparently there's 0 cases of transmission.
Did you see what the mayor said today, Lori Lightfoot in Chicago? She's blaming the high number of carjackings on remote learning.
Oh, my gosh.
You can't even make that
this
up.
up.
And it's sad. It's sad in any regard, but that's how far, and Ari put it so well, that's where we've traveled to. We have to respect the fact that we're not where we were 2 years ago.
Right. Exactly.
Well, we're not, but I think a lot of the Democrats, unfortunately, are. They're in that same spot.